and we're back together for part two. We have just covered recent deaths, long ago deaths, deaths that are important to us as four individuals. And we actually ended with the story of the most recent death in this group, and that is John's mother, told with such elegance and such deep meaning that still very much is apparent in John's life and every fiber of his being. That's what death does to us. And now I believe we're going to transition into actually showing what this looks like so people can get some idea of when we say a home funeral, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular group, the first funeral was Dino's.
Right. And so we can do that next and then maybe end with the owl story.
Oh, that's right.
I want to hear the owl story.
Yes, we want to hear the
Either
owl
way.
story. That's where
Yeah.
we ended.
Okay, either one. So, I mean, John, do you want to set us up? And then we just had the one image that I can go back to share that was just the artistic rendition that Marit did, right?
No.
Or what was that? Talk to us, Johnny.
No, I found this image, Paul, on our lampshade at this guest house.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah.
Marit may want to
Somewhere-
turn that into art later.
Somewhere in the world. Well, Marit's very artistic for those.
Right. Yeah.
So talk about the owl story, John.
Yeah. So the owl story.
Owl is an archetypal symbol of wisdom.
Right. And, and there are lots of, I don't want to say there are lots, but there are multiple interpretations of in different cultures, different traditions of the owl symbol. But one of them is that the owl communicates from the other side that your person, your loved one is okay. I didn't know that before this experience, and I have a beginner's mind, and you can see that probably, but I'm also a pretty conventional guy. I was born and raised a pretty conventional guy, and so I'm open to different ideas and feelings and experience, but I'm not inclined to just jump in without a little bit of I don't know, evidence or so. Mom passed away on a Friday. We were all there. Hospice had been with us around dinner time because we needed their help. And so we had a wonderful hospice nurse, amazing, young woman, young, in her 20s. She could have been at the end of her career. She had so much wisdom and competence. But she looked at me when she left or during this process and said, I don't think she'll. It's funny, I can talk about it. It doesn't bother me, and then all of a sudden it's right there again. But Laura said, I don't think your mom will make it through the night. So she just wanted us to know that and call us if you need to. So now it's about, so we had done some things to help mom. I think this Laura left at maybe 8:30. Cara went out to get some dinner for us. We hadn't eaten dinner. And we're sitting at the table around in the little kitchen at, 9:30. And I said, hey guys, before we start eating, I'm going to go check on mom and see how mom's doing. So I went into her bedroom and I knew that something was changing and it was active. So I called Cara and Marit into the room. And I sat on one side of the bed, and Cara and Marit were on the bed. I was on the open side of the bed near the window. We opened the window in the bedroom. It was a large window. We opened it all the way. It's in January. It wasn't cold. It was wet, a little rainy outside. And all of a sudden, Mom's opened her eyes. She had not been alert that I knew of during the past couple of days. Not eating, no bathroom, nothing, just breathing. And all of a sudden, her breathing was changing, and her eyes were open, and they were not her eyes, right? That's why this experience is so important for us to have, if we can, before it's our dearest loved ones, because every time is a new time, right? It is a new time, but yet with experience, I think I would have been better equipped, better prepared. And what would I have done? I just would have been a little more graceful, a little less reactive, a little less, and just a little more just
Present.
calm, present. I still don't have any I don't have any regrets. It just reinforces, though, my belief that if we could go back to a more traditional and natural way of caring for our people and their death and dying experience, that it would really help us. So she opened her eyes. She looked up. She was clearly aware of something out there. Clear. She was looking at something out there. Or I don't know if she could see anything, but there was something out there. And then she turned and looked at Marie. I was right there. I was, her favorite person in the world, right? If you were to ask her at the time. And yet, she didn't look at me. She looked at Marie. And Marie was holding her hand. I had my hand on my mom's chest right here, and I was holding her other hand. And suddenly, within 5 minutes, she seemed to there was some resistance or something. I don't, not resistance, but this effort she was making to be present with us. Just that stopped. She just melted. She eased back into her pillow and her mattress, and I could feel her heart was doing this, and then all of a sudden, it just stopped. And that. And she was passed.
Yeah.
Well, what's remarkable about what happened next is that I wasn't expecting it, and I'm glad. I had the beginner's mind. I was open, but I wasn't expecting anything to happen. And I hesitate to say something in some ways because I don't want people to have an expectation that they're going to have a similar experience, because their experience is going to be different.
Yeah.
But I kid you not. And if I'm conventional, Cara makes me look alternative. So Cara is so grounded and conventional.
Yes.
The window's open. We're laying and sitting next to my mom. Marie has crawled into bed next to my mom's body and is embracing her. And within 30 seconds or a minute, I don't know, but it was very soon after my mom died or passed, an owl right outside of her bedroom window started hooting. We're not out in the country. We're in virtually downtown McMinnville. I have been in that house just over the course of years for weeks and weeks. Always sleep with the window open. I never heard an owl. Never.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I did that night. And when it happened, Cara and I looked at each other because it was so unexpected and it just seemed out of place in the moment. And but I looked at her and she looked at me, and we both acknowledged that meant something. It meant something to us. That something happened. And that was a great relief to me. Just interpreting it as a sign from the other side that she's here, or we have her now. She's good. So then we could focus, or not we could focus, but the next thing, there was a lot of work to do. There was dry ice to buy. We had talked about this, so we knew what we were going to do when Mom passed. And Cara went to buy some dry ice. Nancy is not getting enough credit here, but Nancy just played such an important role in introducing me to Linda Threadgill. Nancy?
Deborah.
Sorry, Deborah.
Yes.
Deborah. Another wonderful person.
Yeah, Thread.
And we called Deborah. Yep. And we called Nancy, and we did what we needed to do for mom. I slept next to my mom the next 2 nights, and I know that may seem really strange out of context, but in the moment, it was the most natural, normal thing to do. I couldn't. I don't know. I had been sleeping next to her because a handful of weeks before, she'd gone up in the middle of the night to go potty by herself to go to use the bathroom, and she fell. And she said, I tried to call you, but I couldn't wake you. So then Car and I talked, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to sleep next to her so that if she needs something, I'm right there and she can wake me up. So I did that for the next 2 nights. And on Sunday, we had a home funeral with the roses, and Deborah came at the end of that in the evening, and we loaded mom's body into a bag, and we put all of the roses up along her chest and breast, and zipped the bag up to that point so it looked like she had a kerchief of roses. And Deborah asked, what kind of music did your mom like? And my mom loved the song, lots of music, but she loved the song Pretty Woman. And for some reason in the moment, I just thought of that song. And as Deborah drove off in the dark and the rain with my mom's body, I could hear, she pulled out of the driveway, Pretty Woman. And she said, I just like to play music. She called them her VIPs. I like to play the music that my VIPs liked because I can just connect with them on the drive to where she was taking my mom's body. And so as she pulled away, I could hear Pretty Woman walking down the street, pretty woman. Yeah, it was a beautiful.
Meet Pretty Woman. For those people that wonder which Pretty Woman that
Google that song. There are many versions of Pretty Woman.
That's right. Everly Brothers, I think, were the first, but there are many versions. Roy Orbison.
Yeah. Oh, John, I'm so glad you told us that story about Deborah's. She is an incredible woman, and Nancy would say the same thing about Deborah Threadgill. If you really are interested in a natural way of caring for your loved one, Deborah Threadgill
funeral
mortuary service here in the Portland metro area, she is a love, and
You have to
do that
mention-
for you.
You have to mention the Harley.
Okay, do you know about her Harley?
Yes, I have the calendar. They put out a calendar annually.
She and her husband, it's their business together, and they actually have a Harley hearse. So you could, if you're so inclined, be transported, not from McMinnville into
Right
in Portland, but you could go by Harley hearse.
Right.
And she is just one of these people, John. I'm so glad you got to meet her and to interface with her heart, because she really represents this other component of just what Nancy set you up for, and for you to just move forward in the whole caring for mom process.
And it's another,
Nancy,
it's another demonstration of how what we think of as traditional funeral services can blend and meld with the options that you pick and choose, at the point of death and after.
Good point.
Yeah. And having a death doula, having someone with Nancy's experience and expertise was so helpful, because Nancy reached out a couple of times and said, have you called Deborah?
Yeah.
Have you been in touch? Is that, and I would lose track of some of these logistical matters. And I think my bias was on the emotional piece. Some people may be more logistical focused, but Nancy did both, right? Nancy, it was so wonderful that you were so aware of the process and what needed to be done, and you stayed in touch with me, and just made sure that I stayed on track. And thank you. There were a couple of occasions when you sent me notes, and I was like, "Oh boy, I'm glad you did that. Thank you, Nancy."
Well, and that was a really good point. Is when you are going through this process, you're in an altered state.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be in an altered state. This is something separate from our everyday world. And again, this is why having someone to guide you is not only relieve some of the pressure, but it's necessary, because your job is exactly what you're doing. You are concentrating on the emotional, the spiritual. You're concentrating on the end result, which you know is going to be death.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're supposed to be doing. But that
Yeah.
removes you from all these practical things in the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And so having someone to just remind you this also needs to be done. And to Paul's point, very important to know, especially in Oregon, we have wonderful funeral homes that are more than happy to work with you, not expecting that you will do the conventional, understanding that you are going to create a handcrafted death. You are going to create a handcrafted funeral. Nothing about this is conventional. And there are many funeral homes that will help you in that regard. Just again, making it all perfectly natural and an easy flow without a lot of hiccups and drama involved. There's enough drama just in the death itself. We don't need drama coming in from, my goodness, is there a death certificate that's been signed and delivered and
That's right.
those kind of things.
Yeah, that's right.
John, would you
Yes.
enlighten us a little bit since you worked with hospice and it sounds like it was a fabulous experience? Would you tell us a little bit about how, because hospice only cares for the body up until the last breath, and then they're out of there. So how did you interface with them about your vision with a natural home funeral for Sue?
Right. We didn't engage hospice until the middle of December. We didn't have time to establish the kind of relationship that ideally you would establish with hospice. You should call hospice much earlier than we did. But I respected my mom's wish to not engage them. And even when we did engage them, she fought the idea. And thankfully, they had a handful of people, and they sent a different person out, and that person was better suited to my mom, and helped my mom get to a place where she recognized that hospice was going to be a big help to me. It was a big help to her, but as soon as it was about me, my mom was more open to having that help, right? Because I said I need the help. So a hospice, they had, they have people who bathe. So you had someone around 5 days a week visit you, but nurses didn't come 5 days a week. It was a couple of times a week. The nurse would come a couple of times a week. Someone would come to bathe. There was spiritual or music, a person who specialized more in spiritual and music. And so at the end, and then there was a social worker, a person who was overseeing some more logistical things, social service needs, I guess, for lack of a better way of thinking about it in this moment. That person is the person who said, "Oh, you want to do a home funeral? We don't do these very much." I guess there's a Orthodox Russian community in Woodburn or in that part of Oregon that does, and that who they had worked with because they're Willamette Valley based, this hospice. So she said, "I know it can be done, but I just need to make sure that we're doing this right." So there were some concerns about how long mom's body could stay in the house. And as it turned out, it wasn't something we had to worry about. It was all okay. But I can imagine different states or jurisdictions may have different rules. So hospice was there hours before my mom passed away. Their focus was primarily on comfort for her. My mom did not want to be sedated. And in fact, there's some tension or a balance between managing pain and being sedated. And I think some people want to be sedated. I don't want to be. I want to be completely comfortable. My mom wanted to be present. And I really admire that, her strength and courage. And you saw that throughout her life. She was a very engaged, present person. So she took Tylenol 4. I kid you not. She used Tylenol 4 for the bulk of her illness.
Wow.
It was only at the very end, the last week, when we started using opiates. And she didn't like them. She didn't like the feeling that they gave her. But during the last few days, she started using them more. Although the pain seemed to subside actually at the very end. But so the nurse came. I wanted the nurse to come because Mom had suddenly, your skin weakens at the very end and it tears. And where she had been laying, her skin was tearing, and it scared me.
Yeah.
It scared me. I didn't know what to do. And so I called her, and she came right out and said, "This is normal."
Yeah.
And also just said, want to make sure, she wanted to come out and make sure that Mom wasn't uncomfortable. And she said, "You know what? I think she's fine. I think she's okay. She's not, I don't think she's uncomfortable." So that was why hospice came out. And then we didn't see them again, but I received text messages from all of them immediately. And I mean, there were a couple of them who were just, I can't believe they do this work all the time. It's just incredible. And the person who played music, she was a wonderful, wonderful person. Her name was also Laura. She, on a couple of occasions during her visits, would be out in the living room with Marit, playing an instrument that she brought. And so on the day of the home funeral, excuse me, it's important to remember this, Nancy, before the funeral on Sunday, we bathed Mom's body on Saturday. Nancy came out for that. And my good friend Violetta Ramsey, who lives in McMinnville, joined us that day. So it was Cara, Marit, Violetta, myself, and Nancy. And we were all there and bathed Mom's body, feet, arms, face, these types of things. A ritual. You're not truly bathing your loved one, but it's a ritual. And talked about my mom. And so Marie was part of that. I just lost my train of thought, darn it. But Laura came that day because we didn't know how Marie would react. And so hospice, glad I'm remembering this. One person did come out, but they didn't have to per se. But she so appreciated what we were doing and said that she would like to come out for this process and spend time with Marie, so that if Marie was overwhelmed, that Marie could be in the living room with her and take a break. As it turned out, Marie didn't want to do that, so she played music in the background, some just beautiful, beautiful music in the background on her.
So can I interject, John? That's really cool. And that's funny. That reminds me of a snippet of an experience that I had earlier, because I also, and I'm sure that many people listening, if they've had any interaction in a hospice, this is a very common takeaway, that people have this glowing sort of next level reflection on what hospice meant for them. And that was my experience when my partner died, Jim, in 2006. And I was so impressed with what they did for me, also in a relatively short time window, that I actually became a volunteer in hospice when I first moved to Portland as part of my grieving process. And I did that for a while, and I really liked it. And my guess is that, as we all understand, ultimately, that the hospice experience ends when the person dies. Just like a power of attorney, for those people that are crossing the T's and dotting the I's, that, you need to be prepared right up to the point of death is a different sort of structure of legal and sort of social structures that then shift into something else. And it's very likely that the lady that came to play the music for you guys doing the ritual bathing was a hospice volunteer, because they rely on, may or may not be, my guess is
she was an employee. She was. And
that surprises me that
but they followed up with grief. They did have grief support. There was some follow-up from the organization, but not the nurses. But the organization did continue to follow up, and I received mailings from them and a couple of phone calls. They were amazing. I don't want to put down a for-profit hospice. I hesitate to do that.
Yeah.
But but we had a quick experience with one person, and then decided to go with Willamette Valley, and there was just a difference.
Good for you for saying that, John. I really appreciate your insight in all this is just so powerful for me because you and I have not really engaged in a long version of your story. So I honor your tenacity and your focus and your desire to treat your mother in the end the way you always treated her.
Yeah.
So how wonderful to have you with us.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
I'm just deeply touched.
Nancy,
Nancy,
any other Nancy,
Nancy, where are you?
any other
Oh,
any thoughts on
thank you.
this aspect of it from your experience?
Oh,
Well, I think John is very much on point. There is a difference between for-profit hospice and nonprofit hospice. And unfortunately, it's not about the people. It's about
Right.
their process. The people, no matter which avenue they're involved in, are in it for the right reasons. But in a for-profit hospice, they are limited because they're being paid for by Medicare. And Medicare is going to require all kinds of quantitative data about how long you went or how many times you went, how long you stayed. And you're given parameters, and you are supposed to meet those parameters in order to receive payment from Medicare. Whereas in a nonprofit, that's a whole different ballgame. That's pure hospice. And I shouldn't say, I may be overstating the fact. Of course, even in nonprofit, they still have to make enough money to keep the doors open. We understand that.
right.
But profit is not their motivation.
Yeah.
And so they have the luxury of having more intuitive responses to the families and to the person who is dying.
Mm.
And in Oregon, in Portland in particular, we have a really amazing facility called Hopewell House.
Mm.
And Hopewell House is where you can go once you have been approved to receive hospice care. And if you are lucky enough, you can go and live there, and your loved ones can be engaged with you without having to be involved in your bodily care.
Yeah, that's such an important point, Nancy. I was almost, had my mom's dying taken a longer time, I'm not sure I could have kept up.
Right.
Pancreatic cancer, it's mean. It knows what it wants to do, and it does it. So, wow, it's intense. But
Very vicious.
very vicious. But I was tired. I was getting up with her 2 or 3 times a night. A hospice doesn't come every day to do bathroom things for you. Doing that for it actually, it came to me naturally, but I never imagined I would support my mom in that way.
Of course.
And I don't know that everybody could. And especially if you have a more complicated private life or professional life.
Mhm.
So I think in facility hospice for a lot of people, to your point earlier, Paul, I think about, a natural death. Or Nancy, you said something about, working with funeral homes or services. I didn't, but I was really lucky in lots of ways. I think for a lot of people, engaging services or finding a hospice facility would be wiser for everyone than to be at home. So I don't want to generalize and say that everyone should aspire to do it the way we were fortunate to do it. For me, fortunate. Because for a lot of people, I think that would not have been the right choice. A home funeral, yes, or keeping it simple, yes, of course. Being present as close to this process in person as possible, yes. And if you can be at home, great, but be prepared. It's a lot of work, and you need help. And hospice, I didn't realize until we engaged hospice that hospice wouldn't do some things that I thought they did. I was so ignorant. I was ill-informed. So, you may have to help, professional help that you pay for.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The burden in our system of hospice care is actually put on the families.
Yeah.
And, from a spiritual and emotional standpoint, the family should be there to support the loved one emotionally, spiritually, but they get unfortunately burdened with the bodily care, which, as you said, can be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And and this is the way our medical system likes it. They like putting the burden on the family. And and some families can handle it because there are many people that
That's
can
right.
take turns.
That's
But
right.
many people are also like you, one person trying to
Yep.
do everything around the clock. It's exhausting. It's a
Yeah.
lot to ask of a human being.
Yep. Yep. So I think if a person feels like that's what they want to do, they can do, they should, but just be prepared, have a doula, work with a doula.
Yes.
And I also think I've wanted to fit this in at some point because my first exposure to home funerals was really Dino, Rich. It was Paul. It was when you celebrated Dino's life. And that left such an impression. I was living in Denver and I saw all the pictures, which I know is where we're going next. So it's a nice segue.
Segue alert.
Then though, I was sitting at my desk in Denver during lunch and I used to stream Think Out Loud from Portland. And
Yes.
on one occasion, he interviewed a woman who I had never heard of before, Sallie Tisdale. And she was being interviewed. I think this book was published in 2018. So it was probably shortly after the publishing of that book. She's written 10 books. She has some really great stuff, and it's appeared in Harper's and the New Yorker. She's somebody we should all know if we're interested in this topic and in other topics. She's covered some really interesting things that are that we're all that are part of life. Anyway, she wrote a book that I just want to refer to right now. The book's title is Advice for Future Corpses and Those Who Love Them. And there are a handful of interviews with her online that you can listen to. But her perspective, her philosophical, what she provides philosophically, but then also practically, the mix of those two is wonderful. She's a great storyteller. She's so grounded and real. And anyone who's interested in this topic, I think that book is a great place to start, because then when my mom got sick, Rich, and you started talking about a home funeral and Nancy was engaged, it just gave me confidence to keep moving forward, because I didn't want to do what my family had always done. That felt so impersonal to me.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Sallie
thanks,
Tisdale.
John.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Now I'm going to share our screen in our last 5 minutes
I'm
here.
really overwhelmed with just huge gratitude, John, for your story. And Nancy, your expertise, you've always been my rock when it comes to this whole thing about dying. Oh, there's the owl
I know,
image
I'm
that's
trying.
on the lampshade.
I'm still struggling.
So this is at our travel blog, hotelguys.com. This is under favorites.
At the bottom of our favorites, we
And
put in here our extra special Dino the Doberman's funeral.
This is shot. We had a guest room in the lower portion of our home, which is now a rental. But we laid Dino out in honor, and a friend of mine, Paula, shot this little video, and I'm talking about it. So it's on YouTube, Dino the Doberman's home funeral. And over the course of 3 days, upon Dino's death on March 15, 2016, you can see he's just kind of there with my sarong over him to start. And then during the course of time, people would deliver flowers and tributes. I'm now digging through boxes of photos to put up on the wall. And so it just became very, very organic. And now it's time for us to take Dino's body out to the car to the natural burial grounds in Washington. It's called White Eagle. And Nancy herself has a plot. And I think Dino will keep a good eye on Nancy from afar. But there's a section, and we, took him out by cart. This is exactly what they do with humans. But the section where Dino is buried is on the perimeter. And so we shrouded him. Everything is in natural fabric. They dug the grave in advance for Dino and for us. and then we were able to cover him up. Some of his favorite play toys. We just created in those 3 days an opportunity for, I think we had about 33 of Dino's favorite friends pop by and say farewell. And small children in the neighborhood, our dearest people came by to just remember Dino and to hug us and to be present with us. These kids are all now grown up. Uh, and I think this is the piece for me, in my little remembering is that how quickly the body is removed generally. And so
Mm.
it's not what I needed. I really appreciated going downstairs in the morning, changing out this product that Nancy hooked us up with is called Techni Ice. You were using dry ice, and really what this does is it freezes those liquid portions on the body, the animal's body, the human's body, so that those fluids are solid. And
Mhm.
so that gets changed out. So I did that with Dino. And I'd go down and I'd just have conversations with Dino and
Mhm.
remember things about him that I know if, a funeral home or when they put him down, generally, they'll take the animal with them. And for us, this was just so critical for us to have time to just process what had happened. Even though every day we were like, at almost 13, Dino's life was huge, and we honored every moment that we had with him. So, so the Dino the Doberman's home funeral for us was a tribute uh,
Mm.
to the gifts that Dino brought us, what he taught us about being present. Out on the street, Dino in Northwest Portland had 16 businesses that he panhandled because, our neighborhood loves to give animals treats. So, and as a result, we got to know so many lovely people. Um, so the gift of Dino is
Keeps
always
keeps on
giving.
giving, and it also is these are skill sets that and emotional sort of synapses or whatever that kind of got that translate to other ways that we can approach
Oh,
other deaths, either other
yes.
animals or other people.
I mean, in the neighborhood, John, I was out doing a Dino walk.
So
So
we're going
I'm
to turn,
continuing to
yeah.
to walk in his steps
So, but we are going to end our part two of How We Die in Oregon Naturally podcast.
naturally.
Thank you, John, so much. Nancy, we would not do it without you. So we
Yeah.
love you both.
Nancy, final word. You have a minute.
I just appreciate the fact that this conversation is, I'm sure, reaching a different audience. And hopefully, this has been informative,
Mm.
and there people will find that they have more questions. And I encourage them to just simply spend some time Googling home funerals. It's all there. This wonderful age that we live in, you'll find
Right.
videos, you'll find information. And just remember, it's not for everybody. We're not saying it's for everybody, but for
Mhm.
those that are curious and want to know more, please pursue this. It has lasting effect far and above beyond the actual event.
Yep.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah,
And
thank
we
you.
love you all, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys. Thank you, brothers.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
hoteltoes.com.
Nancy. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Love you both.